Microsoft has had, I would say, their year is off to a pretty good start in a maybe somewhat minor way, we'll say. Um, but I think if I were to give predictions, I think this is going to be a really big and good year for Xbox. So fingers crossed. Um, but it was announced, through their just like typical, games that are coming to Game Pass soon. Which I think we knew about Persona 3 and Persona 4 already, that they were going to, when they released, they were going to immediately be put on Game Pass. But I didn't know about Monster Hunter Rise, which was a Switch game and is now coming over to the other consoles. Something that you don't see very often. Normally, it's the other way around. Um, but both Persona games and Monster Hunter. And I know Game Pass will sometimes be in one of these announcements, they'll say 10 games, they'll say 15 games, they'll say 20 games across, ones that are coming to Xbox and then ones that are going to only be on PC Game Pass, whatever. So maybe from a volume standpoint, you might be saying, whatever, it's just 3 games. I think this speaks volumes to what it is that they're trying to do. I think them getting Persona 5 Royale and immediately putting it on Game Pass spoke volumes as well. I think they are really, really, really trying to appeal more to a Japanese audience, something that I feel like Microsoft has notoriously not been very good at. And I think by putting 3 games like this on the service, they're doing fans of JRPGs and just your, say, Japanese players, a great service by getting these games into their hands via the best value in gaming. Um, I think this is huge, right? I think it speaks volumes. But then also, in Tom Warren's post, he says Microsoft says, "quote We're just getting warmed up, and we'll be back soon with more games." So like, this is just apparently the start of what's going to be coming to Game Pass. And this is a really, really strong start, I'd say.
Yeah, I think Game Pass is kind of getting into. I think this will be a weird year for it. And I say that I don't know if it was today that I saw it, but um, We Happy Few, which I think is an Xbox published game made by Gearbox, maybe, is leaving Game Pass. Um, it sounds like maybe it'll be coming back. It just had to do with a licensing issue. I don't know if all the details are out there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it'll be interesting in general to go back to JRPGs. It is, it's again, the from Microsoft's standpoint, the perfect reason to have this platform
Yeah.
because, they're still losing in Japan, though the numbers over the past couple of years have increased, I think, for the first time ever. And I think maybe it was 2022 or 2021 was the first year that they started gaining a market cap in Japan.
Yeah, and I think recently in a certain month they beat out PlayStation and Nintendo. They were the top selling console for a month.
Right.
Says
And
a lot. I mean, truly.
that I think correlates to their commitment to JRPGs and Japanese games. You know, we think in, America and most of Europe that Game Pass is this amazing deal, and in Japan they're probably not even talking about it. Um Now, well, historically, now they might be.
Right.
Not insinuating that this is all Japanese players play, but we have the data is out there for trends in games that Japanese players play, and it is games like these, like Persona and Monster
Yeah,
Hunter.
I mean these are, I mean, literally it's called a JRPG, right? Like these are
Right.
huge in Japan, and with that base, right? So many games start there and are created there, and sometimes don't make the initial jump until like 2 or 3 after like a strong showing, or sometimes you have just solo releases over there. You know it shows like just how crazy these are, just with again a very specific base.
Right. Um, yeah, it's exciting, and I think we've talked about it tons of times. Like, this is what makes this service perfect for me personally because, it's just not something I've historically been into. So it's
Right.
cool that, it can share, like, bring in these games that mean so much to a group of people, but also, like, introduce more people to it.
Yeah, it means so much to your co-host.
Yeah. God.
Thank you?
No.
Or oh, okay. um no, so I saw this and I was like, wow, this is great. Now this is coupled with um rumors that are now I think substantiated that Microsoft is gearing up to do an Xbox showcase um in 2 weeks on according to GameSpot January 25th. Um So both of those, I'm like, all right, I'm getting excited. But before we talk about this showcase, Brad Sams also tweeted a screenshot of the with the URL of the Game Pass announcement, and it specifically says Wave One announce. So that coupled with what Tom Warren said, I'm assuming I didn't read the actual announcement. I normally just look at the pretty pictures on Twitter. Um, so I'm guessing within the actual like press release, we're just getting warmed up and we'll be back soon with more games. Like, I just maybe getting like a little overhyped. I'm just assuming that it's gonna be something big. They're gonna drop a big hammer um, with some other key releases. Um, which I think is great. I also love that they're taking a very Marvel approach with the whole, waves, phases, stuff like that. So, um, but I love it. Drum up some excitement, right? Like, why show all 20 at once? Really, really edge us.
Yeah, that's how you get people ripping through these games because you never know how much time you're going to lose when they release the next year.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I look forward to that. But I'm also very interested in this supposed Xbox showcase that is going to be coming in 2 weeks. Um, it was announced that Starfield will not be at this event, or will not be shown at all,
That's what I saw.
which is interesting because that is slated for that's is that February that's supposed to come out already?
Starfield?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think so, but what do I know?
Or was it like originally like supposed to be last February and then it got pushed to November 11th?
I didn't think it had a day in
Okay.
2023
I
yet.
might just be mixing it up with something else then. Regardless, it is supposed to release early 2023.
Right,
Um,
first half, I think, is all we know.
okay. So kind of interesting with that being probably the big headliner of Xbox releases this year. Um, but either way, I think there's still a really good opportunity here for them to showcase some other stuff like Redfall. Um,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I don't want to get too into like predicting and trying to like key in on like specific things, but you know, I'm sure the There's a new Forza that's slated for this year, right? Motorsport.
Yep, yeah, that'll come out this year, so they'll probably show some gameplay of that,
So right. So
which
like
is exciting.
exactly. Um but I'm also just looking forward to how so any games that they show that are like being made by them, right? Instant value up for Game Pass. Um I'm also just interested to see like what else they say because you like I just feel like that they're gonna announce other massive games, massive gets for Game Pass, um, that we can like look forward to later this year.
Well,
Um,
yeah, they'll probably announce some stuff that's gonna come to Game Pass, but we're still missing a bunch of updates from games that they announced 2 years ago, like Indiana Jones
Indiana
and
Jones is being
Perfect
made.
Dark.
Indiana Jones is being made. Perfect Dark, maybe. Indiana Jones is being made by Bethesda, though, right?
Yeah.
My guess is that we wouldn't see more about that because didn't they did a Bethesda Xbox and Bethesda showcase like last summer, right?
I believe so. I believe that's when they came out with Redfall.
So I'm almost thinking. I mean, Arcane's under Bethesda though, so yeah,
Right, and
yeah,
Indiana Jones is gonna be Machine Games, and as far as I know, there's no new Wolfenstein game.
yeah. So we could potentially look forward to seeing something about that. Yeah, I think there's plenty for them to show, and I think there's plenty um, to be prepared to find out some fresh release dates or release windows at the very least that fall into either this year or certainly next year. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, this is it. Like I'm hoping that this is like the ramp up into it that we've kind of been so like itching for from Microsoft. Um but yeah.
Trying to see if I really wanna find the list from whatever that showcase was. I think it was in January of 2022 or 2021. What Microsoft announced. Yeah, I mean, regardless, we'll take what we can get.
Yeah. We could potentially get some information on Kojima's game with them, right?
Hopefully.
That'd be
I
sick.
I'm so, like, is Kojima gonna be able to work on that IP and also Death Stranding too?
Sure, why not? And I wouldn't doubt him.
I don't know how big his team is or how many clones he has.
Yeah. Well, I think there's 14 Kojimas now in the world.
Okay.
Total aside, I saw a fucking hard picture, black and white. It was Keanu, Norman Reedus, um, Mads Mikkelsen, and Kojima all just sitting. Again, pictures black and white, and they're all just sitting smoking cigarettes. And it is the hardest picture I've ever seen. Like it was so fucking cool. I was just like, like this is awesome. Like, that was so sick. Total aside, but he's such a rock star that yeah, um, I wouldn't put it past him to be able to.
Um,
I'm interested to see if his IP with Xbox is going to be just as you know what the fucky as Death Stranding is.
yeah, I and just from a technology standpoint, I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be kind of groundbreaking on that front as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because they're going to be using I'm guessing Azure services to build certain things into this game. Um, yeah, it'll be really cool. Yeah, I'm sure Kojima probably has built a relatively big team. I mean, it's not like he's the. I mean, obviously he wants his vision to be what comes out on screen, but he reminds me of the kind of person that trusts people to do well by him.
Right.
Do well by his ideas, I should say. Okay, so I found the list from 2021. I'm gonna throw a couple games out there that we haven't gotten updates on in a
Okay.
while. Stalker 2.
Yep.
Um,
Which, why do I feel like an Xbox person just recently said something about that game?
I think that game is getting really close. I think the that was supposed to come out in April of last year, but then obviously um, they're a Ukrainian team, so they kind of got displaced.
Hmm.
They might have had an announcement for that recently. I know their account was just active with something. Um, did Back for Blood already come out yet?
Uh, yes, yes. That's the game that came out that I thought was Redfall
Okay.
for whatever reason.
Um, Contraband, which is from Avalanche. We've seen nothing from that since 2021. Let's scroll a little bit. Party Animals, I don't think has come out yet. Though I don't think that's an Xbox specific game.
Yeah, I think that was just shown at the Game Awards.
Yeah, it was. I think we're gonna get some like final details on Atomic Heart because we just saw a lot of that at the Game Awards as well.
Hmm.
But again, I don't think that's an Xbox specific game. I think it's just a day one release from Game Pass.
Right.
And now Games Radar's website is dead. So there's a couple games I would like to see at least updates on.
Yeah. And again, just I'm really looking forward to see how they continue to flesh out the whole Game Pass experience and catalog.
Yeah.
Because to your point, I mean, it gives them the opportunity to just especially like highlight some games that typically get missed. We talk about how great it is for indies and putting them in the spotlight. But I think it can work for specific genres as well to get them out to people who would normally just look the other way and not think twice about one of those games. So I think by putting it in the spotlight of this is coming, like this is coming to the service, be excited. It gets people to like take that leap at no additional cost to them to be able to try it and potentially find a new love for a genre or series or whatever. So that's why I think there's so much value in all of these services because it just gets more games into people's hands that they would have otherwise missed out on. Um, and at the end of the day, I think that's good.
Yep.
And they've been killing it. And they've been, providing some just great games. Can't tell you how often I am so jealous of uh, what's being added to Game Pass. On top of the
Easy
fact that
solution
you
to that.
also get what's that?
Said easy solution to that.
Yeah, yes sir, yes sir. There is sooner rather than later. We'll see. Maybe that'll be my apartment warming gift to myself when we move.
There you go. That'll do.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, so that'll be in 2 weeks. It looks like. So we will. I guess we'll have to make sure we do good that week, and we talk on we record on the 25th after the showcase, huh?
Yeah, I
That
guess
way,
we should. What day is that on?
that's a Wednesday.
Uh, Perfect.
Cool.
Because
Oh,
we'll talk about it after the podcast because it doesn't matter.
okay. Well, it does matter, but I guess maybe just not to our listeners, huh?
To our listeners, I think the only thing that matters to them is to expect a pretty timely episode
Let's
related to that.
go. Look at us. Well, anything else to pat Microsoft on the back for?
Oh, probably. Um,
I mean, what do you think?
no,
Do you think this is like, are you excited? Do you think like this has the feelings of a really good year for Microsoft? I think so.
I think so too, and it's funny because you can still like you can Google Xbox Showcase January, and people are still like, yeah, Xbox has Starfall, or yeah, Starfall, Redfall,
Starfield?
Starfield.
Redfall?
um, but PlayStation's still gonna win this year, and it's just so funny, like, and it goes both ways until like December 31st of whatever year, and you can actually look back and see who won.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think Xbox has been patient, um, and they understand that people are ready to see some games.